I'm going to present to you on Learning Your Way, Active Learning Strategies for College Students. All right, so to introduce myself, I'm Mackenzie Lair. I am a writing consultant and guidance specialist with Wolfson Learning Resources. I do have an extensive background in nonprofit and social work. I have worked in different parts of the country and women's centers and various really cool organizations. I started with MDC as an AmeriCorps Vista, and I'm very passionate about education and student success. I also really love to travel. So if you are someone who is looking for travel advice, if you're a student that wants to do study abroad, reach out to me. I always love to chat about that as well. Some of my favorite places that I visited include Myanmar, India, and Hawaii. This picture is me enjoying a little Hawaiian pineapple here. All right, so first off, what is your learning style? You may have come across these terms before. You may have heard about learning styles before, or maybe this is all new to you. There are 4 main ones. I've seen some with 6 and some other different formats, but the usual one that I come across are these 4 styles: auditory, which is a more listening learner based; kinesthetic, which involves touch and physically doing things to help you learn; a reading and writing type; or more of a visual learner. So why is this even important? You might just think, okay, well, I can just study hard, whatever, I'm gonna get good grades if I study hard. Well, I'll tell you a little story. One time in college, I felt very pressed for time. As you can imagine, college is a busy time. I had a reading assignment and I thought, okay, I'm gonna try an audio book to kind of multitask, and I'll get the book read, but I can be doing other things. I am not an auditory learner. I did not do well on that test. I did not retain very much from that book. I should have just read it because I am a reading, writing, visual person. So just keep in mind that it's actually knowing yourself and how you study actually does have some real world impact sometimes on your performance. So throwing it out to the audience, does everybody know what your learning style is? Has anyone found out what they are? You can just put it in the chat or unmute yourself. All right, Kelly is all of them, a little bit of everything. And that's not uncommon, that's really good. We've got Kelly with everything. We've got me with no auditory. Visual, all right, Leslie is a visual learner. It's a popular one. All right, so I'm glad you guys, and then Patrick with the kinesthetic. I'm not surprised. I can see that. So it's good. We all kind of know what's best for us. So let's keep that in mind as we progress in college or in your careers as well when you're learning new career skills. Now we're going to transition over to active listening. Active listening. This goes beyond simply hearing what is being said. What does that mean to go beyond? Well, let's read on. Pay close attention to body language and facial expressions. So be watching when someone is talking to you and use your own body language and expressions to convey that you are hearing what's being said to you as well. Be able to paraphrase, to repeat back what someone has said. You don't necessarily need to be verbatim, of course, but you need to say, so I'm hearing you say you felt frustrated with this assignment, or something like that. You need to be able to repeat what was being said to you to make sure that you understood it correctly, and ask thoughtful questions as they arise. But don't interrupt someone when they're speaking. Wait for them to finish what they're trying to convey, and then be able to participate in the conversation. So has anybody been in a situation where they felt like active listening was really a crucial part to teamwork? I know I've had a lot of that in the office where if you're looking at your phone, right? Just who wants to say something? I hear the mic off. Oh, Kelly, go ahead.
Sure, I think this really comes into play when there's maybe I don't want to say customer service conflict, but when there is like a misunderstanding, I think active listening is so important. It can be in like a counseling session, but it doesn't have to be formal counseling. It could be you have a student who's upset about a certain service, or staff to staff, peer to peer, colleague, boss, subordinate, supervisor situation. And I think that really, really helps is, okay, what are they communicating to me? Let me listen and use all the cues and find out what's the core of the issue. So I think I know the context is learning, but I think with just human relations, active learning is so important.
Yeah, I very much agree. Just in all human interactions, it's going to be really important. Oh, Patrick says with your spouse as well, which is also very true. I think
Definitely.
as this relates, yeah, I know that one firsthand too. As this relates to student and teacher relationship too, you know, when the teacher is giving an assignment, maybe they're saying something like, "This might show up on your test," and they've said it. But if you're just kind of looking down, you don't see they kind of leaned in. You might, you know, you'll miss things if you're not really engaging with what's happening when you're listening in school. So let's keep going further with that. What is active learning and why should I care? So active learning is a strategy in which students engage with material rather than listen to an expert, so rather than lecture. So you might be thinking, oh man, but I have all these courses this semester, they're just in lecture format. There's nothing I can do about that. Well, you know, there actually is. You're able to form study groups. You're able to make flowcharts and stuff, which we'll get more into in the coming slides. But I just want to point that out, that when we're active listeners and active learners, we aren't just relying on, you know, kind of an expert or people talking at us. We're doing a lot of engagement with our bodies and with our eyes and things like that. And active learning, so this improves the retention of new information, it develops your critical thinking skills, and it helps students build their interpersonal skills. So when we're working together, we're navigating all kinds of, you know, social relationships, and that's really a huge benefit. So here are a few active learning activities that I jotted down that are some popular ones. So this might include, as I mentioned before, just working in small groups. You know, it's a really good idea the first day of class to maybe grab some phone numbers and just say, hey, you know, do you guys want to start a little study group? Maybe we can meet once or twice a week. So you can form your own little groups, share notes and things like that. You may be doing some journaling or role playing. It depends on what type of class you have. I like to say, you know, with like a law class, for example, I've been an embedded tutor with a paralegal course where I have seen the students go into groups and kind of explain, you're the plaintiff, you're the defendant, and grasp the material that way. My personal favorite is this, the outlines and the flow charts. That's a really good way for me to pre-organize a research paper, anything like that. I'm very handy with the outlines. Group discussions, and then other activities and projects. This would be the one for the kinesthetic learners that they might really gravitate towards. And if anybody has any other ideas, Leslie, Kelly, Patrick, if you have another learning activity that you've come across in your schooling or in your profession.
Yeah, Mackenzie, I'll put it in the chat. I really like mind maps, so I'll just drop the link in there. It goes along with that, you know, being able to visualize the learning. So I'll put that in there, and sketching. That helps too. So I'll put that in there.
All right, great. Yeah, and with outlines, for me, a lot of people, that's that ABC thing. Some people, I do what Kelly does. I do the map. How about Leslie? Do you have any activities that help you learn or that you enjoy? Quizlet. Okay, I'm not really familiar with Quizlet. Is this like an online thing? Okay, I'll have to look into that. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
Right,
I was
thank
gonna. I'm along the lines with Leslie too, is to gamify it. And there's lots of things like Quizlet and other online quizzing tools, but you know, to make it fun, like a matching game or you know, memorization. You know, try to anticipate with these online games. It's a lot of fun. It's a great way to learn for me and others.
Yeah, that's what I just said about you. I said that kinesthetics out there are going to really like something gamey, something hands-on like that. So we can see this all kind of ties in, like knowing how you learn and knowing just these proven strategies where these things, they're proven to help you learn better and to retain better. So when we don't take a passive view of listening, and we don't take a passive view of just sitting through a lecture, we get a lot more out of it. So I'm glad to hear that some of you have already developed some of these interesting tools. All right, so let's think. We have a little more discussion today. So what are some ways a kinesthetic learner might participate in active, let's say active listening? Let's say they're really a doer, but they're in a situation where they're in a lecture. And how can they participate in active listening as somebody that's more kinesthetic? What do you think?
Well, Mackenzie, I think that some programs or study lend themselves to this kinesthetic type of learning. I'm thinking the paramedic program. I know it's a little different than maybe other campuses, but professions like paramedic and like the police academy in the North Campus, fire sciences. I don't know how to describe those kind of professions that they're just more active anyway. Patrick, welding, I love it. Sit in front of the classroom. That's a really good one. Automotive,
that is a good one.
Yeah, exactly. Leslie, anatomy class, right? Yes, the models. Leslie, are you from the medical campus? Oh, okay. I thought so because of those anatomy models are right outside my office, and I was like, I haven't seen them other campus. So yeah, cool. What program, if I may ask? And then I'm going to be quiet. Sorry.
That's fine.
PTA. Oh, fantastic. Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
That's a great one. So like if you do have the opportunity to listen to a lecture or listen to directives while being able to touch a model, that's great. If not, let's say you have a drawing of the anatomy and you're able to circle. I do like when Patrick said sit up front. If you think you're going to be fidgety or distracted, put yourself in a situation where you feel more able to engage. And I feel like we covered that a lot. And then my other food for thought was just how we might actively listen or how might active learning and listening impact your relationship with your professor and with your classmates. This is really important. How do you think that your active participation is going to impact professor relationship and or classmate relationships? I'm especially curious, you know, what you think, Leslie, with your studying the medical field, how you engage with like your classmates and people, you know, if you're in these different medical settings, when you're relying on your team. And while I let some people type and think about it, yes, Patrick's saying deeper relationships. That's the thing about college is you may walk away from this experience if you're someone who pays attention and is showing that active listening, emotional intelligence. You can have some friends for the rest of your life. One of my coworkers, Ed, he's always talking about a friend that he has back, and he's retired from his career now and his 40-year career and is now with us. And he's always talking about friends from school. Like you can really just draw a lot of relationships out of being a good listener. What else do you guys think? Getting in groups and working with each other. Exactly. So if you're somebody that, you know, people walk into class and you're already there and you're just sitting here and you're whatever, that, it's not very approachable, and it's not going to help you over the years really cultivate the kind of friendships and even professional networks that you want to have. So these skills can really impact you beyond just your education. All right, so here's my favorite slide, overcoming obstacles. These are things that I hear from students a lot. I don't have enough time. Well, I tried to email the professor and I just didn't hear back. Or I've just always struggled with X subject. I'm just not good at math, period. I'm never going to be. So if anybody wants to just pick one of these and tell me if you've experienced this, or if you have a rebuttal or something you think is a good response to that.
Well, I hear a lot. I tried to email the professor. I hear it. It must be a daily thing. And I really get it, because we're doing everything, remotely. So all those hallway conversations, all those kind of conversations you have before, after class, or those informal moments, they're kind of gone. It's all like on the screen. And I think everybody's really trying to keep up. So I get that. I mean, I just think of the adage, the squeaky wheel gets the wheel. You've got to, like, I don't want to say be in their faces, because that doesn't sound nice, but you really have to be assertive. It is called active learning, because you can't be passive. You really have to follow up, and it's like you have to really want it. And everybody's attention is split up in a million ways. So you have to find the way. Even if you log on earlier before your online class, hey, and kind of, I don't want to say corner the professor, but do what you got to do. Seek for it like it's something you really, really care about, not just, well, I tried.
Exactly. And I get a lot of students and I say, oh my gosh, I'm really sorry. I always, validate the experience and say, I'm really sorry that this happened to you. I mean, especially when I worked with single stop, I'd say, I'm sorry that you haven't, been in touch. How many times have you been trying to reach out? Oh, once, or yesterday. All right, let's give the professor some time, and also more than one time, because don't assume that it was a malicious, like, I have all these students, I'm not going to reply. Oftentimes, exactly what Kelly said, you just show up a little bit early and, hey, professor, I have been meaning to talk to you about, and they go, oh my gosh, Leslie, I'm so sorry. Right, let's talk about that after class. Follow up, follow through. We're all human. So I think that's what I want to teach within this presentation as well, is a little bit of perseverance. How about these other ones? Like, I'm sure Leslie with like time issues is so huge. And Patrick, what do you think?
I was going to say, with each of those points, you can ask for help. With not enough time, you can delegate some of the things you may be working on, or seek help for each one of those. Even getting a hold of your professor, ask for additional help or guidance, or with any of those subjects. It's okay to ask for help. I think a lot of times people's pride gets in the way, that they say, I can handle this on my own, and they don't either want to seek help or it's in the back of their mind for seeking help. But in each one of those obstacles, asking for help is okay, and you should take advantage of.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I do see a lot of pride, especially here in Miami. And I do think the transition from getting help in high school to college is a really different process and a really different thing. Whereas you may have asked your friends or your mom or somebody to look at something, like in college, this is very much dependent on professor relationships, tutor relationships, like my role. And it is a lot different process, I believe. And we've got some input from Leslie. Thank you, Leslie. I'll make some time to get it done. I'll wait for the professor within a day or two and see if I can make an appointment. That's exactly right. See, hey, what's your schedule like? And schedule something in. To see a person, I'll seek help for the subject. A tutor, excellent. So you really pinpointed everything, Leslie. Ways to be active and overcome your obstacles. So remember, you are in charge of your learning. I cannot stress this enough. We cannot say, well, there was no time. Well, guess what? If you're working a 40-hour-a-week job, if you're a single parent, if you're doing all this and you have 5 classes, Maybe it's time that you need to take 4. Maybe it's time that you need to do your lab, which can be a 5-credit, big, huge class in a summer session. You do need to work it out. You cannot blame all these other things about your learning being impacted. You know, I tried to call the professor. They never ever got back to me. You need to follow up. You know, at the end of the day, these things really, it's your life and your learning and your degree. And so I believe firmly in all things are workable. You know, like I just said about your scheduling, about your life, you need to be able to set yourself up for the best success in college. And I see a lot of people just really overextending themselves or really, really frustrated with professors when they hadn't really been interactive with a tutor. And just know that you can feel angry at your teachers or you can feel angry at circumstances, but at the end of the day, it really only impacts you. So that's why you have to learn these strategies and be able to incorporate them, because once you go ahead and realize that, hey, this is all on me, and at the end of the day, it's my degree, it's not Professor so-and-so's degree, you'll really find ways to do a lot of great things and succeed in new ways and take advantage of study abroad, something that you never thought was possible for you. So be sure that you understand that you have a lot of control in your education. And don't wait for others to seek you out. Be the one to start the study group. Be the one to ask for numbers in class. Be the one to, you know, make your mind maps or organize role play activities, because that's how you learn. And then I can never really close any presentation I give without mentioning some of our support services. And I was very honored to be asked to do a full presentation about MDC services, which I will present today at 12, but here are a couple of my favorites. We have single stop. I just want to ask, Leslie, do you already know about single stop? Because if you do, you know, I don't need to re-explain it, but if not, I would love to tell you more. And Kelly's telling us you can always contact the administrators in the School of Health Sciences too. Okay, great. Remember to give them benefit of that. Okay, good. So Leslie does know. We've really raised a lot of awareness about single stop, so that's awesome. We have MDC Works, which is, I just recently learned like how much that they do. They're our career service center. They have an online platform that has all the latest job postings and internship opportunities. They have tons of online recordings and information as well. Just everything. It's really comprehensive. Anything to do with interviews, skill building, professional development, finding your career. They're really good. They're pretty impressive to me. And then we do have Access, our services for students with disabilities. So I just want to encourage you, Leslie, to, if any of these apply to you or if they apply to a friend, please share this information. If you do know somebody that's struggling with something, tell them about single stop. Word of mouth is really a big way that we're able to reach students across all of our many campuses. And that's everything